Hey y'all, this is Audra Hicks, your Tennessee Realtor. I wanted to go over the ALTA or settlement statement that you would sign at closing and try to go over in detail with you what it entails. So, if you like my content, please, 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 please hit that subscribe button and stay tuned because I put the real in real estate. So when you buy a home in, you either buy or sell a property, whether it be a single family home or just property or whatever you are buying. You're going to go to closing and you're going to have settlement statements, which we call ALTAs as well. So I wanted to try to go over some of the pieces of this settlement statement. I, as an agent, on whatever side I'm on, whether it's the sell or the buy or both or whatever, my title will send me a copy of the settlement statement so far, and I'll look over it, make sure that everything looks properly done. If it's a buyer that I have, I look to see if they've given the proper seller credits that we might have asked for, things like that. If it's on my listing side, I always look to make sure what my seller's supposed to pay that is in there, and there might be things that's accidentally put in there or from the other side or whatever that we might question. So a lot of times we'll go over it and we'll be like, oh, y'all forgot to put this in, or there was a home warranty, or whatever it may be. So you have credits and debits in accounting. And same thing on this ALTA statement. You're going to see seller debit side, seller credit. And on the other side, you're going to see the buyer debit and the buyer credit. So first, it's going to be how much the sale of the property was. So if it's 405,000 or 449,900, whatever it may be, it's going to be put in that spot. So as on the seller side, it's going to be, a credit to them. On the buyer side, it's going to be a debit to them. Um, I'm looking over different settlement statements here. I've got two of them because I have actually a listing of mine and she's also buying. So I have a settlement statement for each one. So trying to just go down the list and kind of give y'all an idea if you've never bought a home or you have and you didn't realize everything that you signed or didn't get explained to it at closing. Like my title girl will go over everything with my seller or my buyer or both. At the time of closing. So, oh, and of course, I have these neat little pins with me and my Stewie Doodle and in my info and stuff, but they are in blue. I buy specifically blue because here we have to sign all documents at closing in blue ink. So, at closing table, whether it's at my office or wherever we are closing, I will have my ink pens that all my clients will use whenever they sign their documents, and then they get to take them with them. So many of them love everybody usually loves my ink pens, so they usually take new ones and use them. But going over the sale of property, we have any earnest money next that we do a credit to the buyer. If they're getting a loan, then you're going to see a credit over there for the buyer. They're going to get a loan. They're going to take out a loan, however much that is with the lender. It's going to go in that spot. If there's any seller credits, meaning we've asked for closing cost and prepaids to be done. So if it's 7,000 or 10,000, whatever it may be, it's put in that spot. So it would be a debit from the seller and a credit over here to the buyer. If there's any lender credits, then the lender credit would go as a debit or a credit to the buyer. And then we have prorations and adjustments. You have your city taxes, your county taxes. Seller will have to pay up until the day of closing. So say it's closing. I have two of them closing this Thursday. They are going to be debited for those city and county taxes from January 1st until closing day, which is February 15th. So February 16th through the end of the year is usually what, or whatever their lender may want them to pay in, their expenses to do escrows and stuff in the buyer side. But it will be a debit from the seller and a credit over here to the buyer side for that amount of money from the city and county taxes, if there are any in the city. Sometimes it may only be county taxes. Sometimes it's city. Sometimes it's both. So this one that she's buying in a city, so you pay the county and the city taxes. Next, we have all of the loan charges and stuff. So you have your processing, you have your however percentage of the loan in points that you need to pay there. You have the processing fee to the mortgage company, underwriting fee to the mortgage company. All of these would be debits of the buyer. Some of these may be a debit from the seller, though. It depends on how the contract was made up. Is the seller paying title, or is the buyer paying title? Or did we say what the buyer is paying in title expenses or what the seller is paying in title expenses? So we go by the contract, and that's how title looks at the contract to get who's paying what in all of this. Then you have attorney fee. If there are any, sometimes there is an attorney fee, sometimes not. Closing services to whatever title company is going to be doing that. Digital, sometimes you'll have like a digital storage fee, doc prep fee, document prep fees to both, whatever it is on this title company, and whatever it is on this title company. So we do, here in Tennessee, we usually have a title company for each side, 2 different title companies. So they have to make sure that they get everything correct, and they all balance whenever they are trying to balance this ALTA settlement statement. You might have FedEx fees, online recording fees to that said county. It's usually like $10 or something like that. Overnight courier fees if they need to overnight get the docs back from the other side's title, or vice versa, or they need to send them to the other side's title. You might have wire fees to each one of the title companies. Now, in the process of buying the home, you will be paying for your appraisal. So there might be an appraisal admin fee, appraisal fee. If there was a rush fee to get it done in like an overnight type situation, you're going to have that. There's going to be a credit report fee, a flood certification fee. It's usually a little over $10. And prepaid interest per day, from, say, they have to pay any prepaid interest, it will be on the next line. So, homeowners insurance and property taxes and city taxes that the buyer is going to be paying in their loan. When they do a loan with the lender is going to set up escrows for the property taxes and the insurance. So it depends on what that lender requires to be put into that escrow up front. And that's where you'll see a debit on the buyer side for that homeowner's insurance, property taxes, and city taxes. And then if there's any adjustments, credits and stuff to that, it would be a credit to the buyer there. Now on the seller side over here, we're going to go on payoffs. This one is my buyer buying a home. I'm going by this settlement statement. But over here it's selling her home too. So the seller of the home that she is purchasing has a payoff, a principal, interest, and release fee to pay off their mortgage. Okay, so that will be debited from the seller side. Now, if they have a second mortgage, that is going to be debited from the seller side. It's going to be principal, interest, and additional interest. And usually when they get a payoff to whatever date that the closing date is, plus a per diem per day that it doesn't get paid off. So that is in there as well. So Then we move on down to government recording and transfer charges. So you've got recording fees to the county, the deed, the mortgage, all of this, mortgage tax to the county, realty transfer tax for the deed. And that might cost quite a bit. So that would come out of the buyer's debit side. And then we move on down to commissions. So you have commissions to the agents, whether it's the listing agent or the selling agent, or buyer's agent, as you want to call them. So you'll have all of those things next. Then you have title charges. The title settlement fee, you're going to have the title CPL, the lender. You're going to have the lender's title policy. Who's paying that? On this one, the seller's paying it, so it will be debited from the seller. All of the title fees on this one, I asked for the seller to pay, and they accepted the offer that way. So all of these are going to be debits from the seller, except for the title CPL lender, a small amount that the buyer pays. There is a title owner's title policy, so there's going to be debited over here from the seller too. Next, we have at the end of this, miscellaneous charges. So there's going to be 2023 city taxes, 2023 county taxes paid by the seller for last year if they were not paid or whatever. If there's any broker-based commission fees, next I asked for a home warranty. That is going to be debited from the seller side. And then payoff of any kind of outstanding things like judgments or anything like that could be next on sellers, because whenever title does research on properties, if there are any judgments or liens on the property, they will have to be paid at closing. So it's going to come out of the seller's funds over here, instead of what they might ended up with 5,000 more or 5,000 less. It just depends on what their judgments were, if they have any. Not everybody does. I only see this every so often, where the seller may have judgments or liens on their property, and of course they're going to have to be paid beforehand. So title, always make sure that it is clear title, and that's why you get title policies as well. So if there is anything that comes up, then you have insurance for that as well. So hopefully this is not clear as mud, and it is helpful to y'all. If you have any kind of closing where you're buying property, you're going to hopefully be explaining this during the closing from whoever is closing you. So they should go over it really well. If you have any questions on it, you always need to ask them before you sign, any questions that you may have before you sign. And this is not all the closing docs that you have. Lenders have a lot of paperwork. If you are buying a home, you're probably going to have a stack this high, maybe this high, but it's going to be pretty thick. But if you're selling a home, yours might only be maybe down in here that you sign. Maybe not even that. It depends. Now, and that's if you're getting a loan on the property. If you're not getting a loan, your big one over here on your buy side has shrunk way down, because if it's all cash, there's not a lot that you have to sign. And then on the sell side, not a lot either. So, hopefully that helps y'all today. And if y'all like my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.